What is the craziest / most inappropriate thing a teacher has said to you? The Battle of the Bulge was a hard-fought battle. Almost like the battle I fight with my bulge in the morning. The best fucking history teacher I've ever had. I had an 11th grade English teacher, large dude, mid-40s, say, if any of you ever say that the thesis is what the paper's about, I will come to your house, find something that you love, and kill it, right in front of you. He also greeted us first day of school year by walking in and saying, alright all you failed abortions, let's get to it, best class ever. I was in Spanish class last year, using my phone under my desk, when my teacher noticed. She stopped her lecture, turned to me and said, Bartholomew, there are two things you could be doing with your hands underneath the table like that, and either one is appropriate for my class. The class exploded. My favorite teacher ever assigned us to go see a movie. He jokingly stated, if you take your grown mother with you, I'll give you extra credit. To which one of the stereotypical morbid gothic kid in class replied, my grandma is dead. My teacher's response, well then I'll give you double extra credit. Not really all that inappropriate, but still to this day the funniest thing I've ever heard a teacher say. Went to a high school with one black kid. I know he didn't mean it, but she picked up a paperweight or something off his desk. He exclaims, get your cotton picking hands off my desk. Silence from the whole class, followed by the both of them leaving. Not to me, but I had a government teacher who would sexually harass most of the girls in my class. For example, when asked how a girl could get extra credit on a test, he responded by saying I would say 6, but that would be illegal. My health education teacher sophomore year of high school showed us footage of a woman giving birth. She played it once, then reversed the tape, so it looked like a doctor was shoving a baby inside the woman and said, oh the miracles of technology. In 7th grade I was fat. The first day of gym class the teacher told us all to stand on these numbered squares painted on the basketball court. Well, this was a very old school and I couldn't find the number assigned to me, as a lot of them were worn away. He said to me very loudly so everyone could hear, I bet if there was a stake on it, you'd find your square. I still hate him to this day. 9th grade woodshop, Albuquerque. The teacher comes in on the first day of school looking disheveled and possibly hungover. He surveys the class, sits down at his desk and tells us, gentlemen, it's always the bitch's fault. Not exactly a comment that a teacher made, but one of the support teachers at my school told me and my friend that if we looked at the sky and pretended to shake salt into our mouth, that we could actually taste it. Me and my friend, being naive at the time, proceeded to act out this motion of looking to the sky and shaking salt into our mouths. It took the support teacher breaking into a laughing fit for us to realize what the action really represented. He then took out a piece of paper and added us to his tally of kids that had fallen for his joke. Male math teacher in 6th grade, Halloween. Girl comes in as a hillbilly with a butt flap on her pants. Teacher asks if we can see a little booty. She flashes him her ass. He says, alright. During a random drug check in my high school a few years ago, when the police brought dogs in, my ass history teacher gleefully said, hope you left your weed at home. Kids, I know I did. Maybe he didn't. Teacher here. Something I said during student teaching that was highly inappropriate. A kid came in singing Ring of Fire, but using the lyrics it burns, 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 the gonorrhea. My response, kid's name. Gonorrhea is nothing to clap about. Never have I seen a group of 16-year-old inner city school kids laugh so hard. College finance class. The professor asked why the class was always quiet and disengaged. One girl responded, this subject is just so dry. The professor responded, well how can I make it moist? I go to a private all-girls school. In theology class last week, 2 of my friends were sitting on a heater to try to warm up, and our 80-year-old teacher told them to stop because it would dry out their vaginas. I tried to give my hot English teacher a hug in high school after passing a test, and she jokingly pushed me aside, winked at me, and said not till you're 18. All male class, carpentry, teacher got mad because everyone got F's in FEIA quiz and said instead of watching porn and masturbating all day, how about you fucking study? Love that teacher. Not me, but a friend came in late to class and the teacher told a student to open the door for him. Doors are locked because security, and before the door opened the teacher said to the class, play along or something like that. When my friend walked in, the teacher said, and that class is why you never mix marijuana and Ritalin. You can't be president because you're Catholic. I was 7. Was in middle school, and we had the coolest social studies teacher ever. He knew I was crushing on this girl, and she was crushing on me. He would always sit us next to each other, and we would always flirt hardcore. She jumped on me, and I shit you not get out in the hallway, and finish that business you know you both want. He sparked a 5-year relationship. I love that man. Hope one day I can go back, and thank him for wisdom. He was a human bear, but the coolest type of bear. The day we were going to learn radicals in math class, our math teacher comes in with a turban on his head and said, today, we are going to be radicals. The best thing I've heard in high school. 8th grade science teacher made us watch a Discovery documentary on lions. Consistently rewound the segment of lions mating, and loudly proclaimed, put this into your mind. My BO teacher noticed hickeys on this kid's neck, and asked him if he lost a fight with a vacuum cleaner. Hardness is a girl's best friend. Because diamonds have a hardness of 10. What were you thinking? Same day we learned about cleavage and streaking. Minerals are fun. A black student was singing in the back of my trigonometry class when my white teacher says quit singing Marvel, we're not on the fields. Class goes dead silent, then everyone burst out laughing. Teacher turned red after realizing what he had just said. Our first day of grade 7 health class, which was co-ed for some reason, the little old man teaching us starts off with, girls, never give a guy a blowjob, because it makes you a sucker. Some of the kids in the class had to ask what a blowjob was. Female teacher to me, a 14-year-old freshman, you smell outstanding. Asterisk asterisk I just wanna gobble you up. Trust me, it's not as fun as it sounds when she's in her mid-40s and you're friends with her son and just wanna learn math. Not my teacher, but my old cheer coach, who was a teacher at my high school. My dad died very suddenly my freshman year and I missed a week of school and cheer practice because of it. When I came back to school the following week I went to talk to my cheer coach and I told her I was sorry that I missed practice, but my dad passed away. Her response was to tell me that that was no excuse. I could have found time to call, and that I couldn't cheer any games for the rest of the school year. The head cheer coach and principal of my school heard from my mom that night, and my cheer coach was fired the next day. Probably the most ignorant anyone has ever been to me in my life. In history class in 11th grade our teacher showed a painting of the Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus. One of the more popular girls in school said, EWW that baby has boobs. He was halfway across the room, stops, walks over to her and says, jealous? Everyone busts out laughing. The next day we had all forgot about it, and then he starts off the class by bringing it up in order to apologize to her and just ends up reminding us about it all over again. She said later that she wasn't embarrassed the first time, but his apology made it much worse. We had a physics lab about static electricity which involved rubbing fur/silk on various objects, black plastic rods, clear plastic rods, and steel balls to name a few. Arta, who has a Scottish accent, kept making jokes about how we weren't rubbing the rods properly, vigorously enough, and other jokes in that genre. Best lab ever. Well, an hour ago my English teacher told us that gifted girls are sluttier than standard girls. High school English teacher with an eye patch and a habit of propping one leg up on a chair to reveal his bulge. First day of class he's laying down the rules. Ladies, there is to be no makeup applied in my class. For the pretty ones, you don't need it. For the ugly ones, it won't help. My biology teacher told us, make sure you guys look up the homework after you are all finished with your porn. My first grade teacher, with 30 years of experience under her belt, told me I was a big boob and then smacked my hand with a yardstick. This was 1985 though, so instead of suing the school, my parents told me to stop acting like a boob. We asked my teacher how it can just stand there with the projector light blasting in his eyes. He replied, I don't just stare at it. It's like cleavage, you take a quick look then move your eyes. This one's not nearly as wildly inappropriate as the others, but still something a teacher shouldn't say. Last year in upper secondary school, and the class is about to take the final exam in the philosophy course. In Sweden, at the time, there were only 3 available grades: G, pass, VG, passed in style, and MVG, outstanding. And in order to make the test more interesting, our teacher had a plan. Everyone gathered in the classroom, and the students aiming for G or VG was told to stay in the room and take the written exam, which couldn't grant a grade higher than VG, even if every answer was spot on correct. The students who were aiming for MVG were to join the teacher in a nearby room for an oral exam, a group discussion, if you will, to properly assess those aiming for higher grades. Fair enough, I wanted that higher grade, so me and 5 to 6 others went with the teacher. Halfway to the next room, one of the girls in the group noticed that the students left to take the written exam had no supervision, since the teacher was walking with us to the other room, and no other teacher was in there. So, are you just gonna leave them unattended? She asks. Yup. Don't you think they're gonna cheat? And without missing a beat, our teacher drops the bomb. Come on, it's the G and VG students. You could give them a month in there. What the fuck are they gonna accomplish?